So till now we worked on arithmetic operations and string operations. Within the string operations, there is one thing called as a string module. Means till now you worked on the basic strings. Similarly, for some kind of operations, there were other things called as module. Module means it's called as a library in other languages. If you want to use anything, we need to use the import. So that's how we did earlier also, right? For a couple of modules. Now, if you install this module, same like a built-in object, because Python is a object-oriented programming, it will have a specific usages. So for any object, if you want to know the list of usages, we use the function called as dir. If you use the function called as dir, and it will give the list of all the attributes. Means with string, we can do these many things. Even if you ignore the things which have underscores on either side, still a good number of things are there. So what all these things doing? So if you want to see. So from now onwards, you can see one more attribute I will tell very often, like underscore doc. So dir will give the list of things. Similarly, there is another thing called as underscore doc. Actually, it will give in a slashens. Did you see everything in slashens? So that's why we should make a print for better printing. Now, did you all understand? So with that module, what all things we can do, they have given a list. Similarly, there is one more thing called as help. So we will go again into the help. But if I do the help, you will get the entire documentation of the project, of the module. So if you just do underscore doc, you will get only the list of things that they specify, like a small document. Similarly, if you do the help, like why it is there, what is the name, what is the place where it is located, so what all attributes are there, everything will be there. So every module that we are working will be stored somewhere in the location. See, I'm using Python Software Foundations, Python 3.11, like this. So it was stored somewhere location. It's working like that. Now, coming to the case of the attributes, as we have seen earlier, that dir will give the list of attributes, and if you start working on them, you can notice that it can give, like, when you're working with alphabets or the strings, the most common use cases is like you want to get all the alphanumeric numbers. If you want only the ASCII values, see here. So capital A to Z, small a to Z, both are there. Only lowercase or only uppercase or only digits, only hexadecimal, only octal, only printable characters, means all the characters except /n/t, like that. Except only punctuations you want, only white spaces. In real world, when you're working, you will have a lot of use cases for these kind of things. So you can make use of it. Similarly, with strings, if you have an ordinary string, we can do something like, dot cap words. Cap words means string dot title is there, right? Same like that. It will do. So it means some operations are like having already we can do with an ordinary strings, but they came with some other things. But mostly I use for these kind of ready-made things. If I want all punctuations, instead of writing everything, or if I want all capital A to Z and small a to Z. So all those things, these are ready-made, right? I can just use it. This module is very small module, which will come when you install it. Similarly, if I have a string called as, let us capitalize each word of this sentence. If I use cap word and the title, so strings dot capped word of this what a string, or string dot title. Did you see both are working exactly same? Means some features will be overcome. So whereas one more thing what we can do is something called as templating. Templating. What do you mean by templating? Hope you remember earlier I showed you one example. When you're working with the string operations, I showed like, old style, new style kind of strings, right? So like a template we will have, just the values will be placed. That is called as a template. So this, like that templating also we can do. So just to give a small example, if I created something like a template, you see, t is equal to string.template of hello dollar we should give. So within the quotes we should give the dollar, then we can take it. So now it is a template. If I ask, hey, what is a t? It says it's a template. Now if I do like, so substitute, whenever I'm substituting like name is equal to world, did you see I got, means wherever dollar variable is there, that it is coming, right? So same like that, so maybe like you can write your own template. So like this again, a bigger templates you can write and you can walk through. Say like I have a template like this, I want to work with say multi-line strings. So name is equal to so and so, and so and so, and age is something. We can write a template like this, right? Multi-line string. This time I wrote a template like this. Now if I substitute, I need to substitute two values, right? Because that is expecting two values, I need to give two. So this is an ordinary F string kind of thing, but this is another kind of substituting. Of course, after the F string came to picture, like all these modules became obsolete. Most of the people try to use the other side only. You see, you are getting a slash ins all the way because they were new lines. You can write a print around it for better printing it. Okay, sir. Wherever name is there, it's coming. If you have two percentiles, so sorry, $2, only $1 is evaluated and you got it. So I mean $2 means it's like escaping that. So I'm just giving a refresher for you to tell that we can do. And similarly, you can write your own templates like ad hoc templates. You wrote a what is what, and for what you give a value, like a dictionary value, it will substitute and give it. So that's how it works. So it can do a templating. So it will print it. Okay? If I use a print statement and all. See. So like that we can do. Okay, going ahead after that. Now let's work on what is a help and how to work with a help. So after these arithmetic operations to start in the basic operations, we can work on, if I want to create a file at this location, I can just create usage of help. So what do you mean by help? What it actually does? So till now we have never used a help, right? Any language when you're working, first you will learn about help. But see here, we didn't work on help till now, but still we are working on it, right? So, but like, let's see how a help works. If I have something like a any data type, right? If I have say dozen means what? 12, right? If I just define a number, I can get what? I can get its type. So I can print like the value, so the type and the data type, right? So what is the value means? I can say dozen. Similarly, if I want the data type, means type if I want. So type of dozen, type is a built-in function. And if I want like print of say, if I want like address where it is stored, address location. So I can say ID is a built-in function for getting it. Okay. And similarly, if I want to get the list of attributes, so attributes means usages, right? I am telling. So I can do a DAR of so dozen. And so when I execute, you will understand that as dozen is an integer, because this is an integer, so it will have all the things with respect to integers. You see, you got everything like that. And you can say dozen is a variable which is an integer. So underscore underscore doc underscore underscore. See, just now I introduced this one, right? One more attribute called as underscore underscore. You see, this will give just a brief thing about that. See, whether you have gone for any module or any variable, whatever documentation it has, you will get it. but it's simply saying like it is a integer because so with integers what we can do, all those information. So in attributes you got a list of attributes. So doc means like this. And next there is something called as help. For help you just pass your variable, you get the entire help. Did you see? So what is the attribute, how we can do, what all the list of attributes it has, and everything. As you are in a interactive mode, so it is showing like this. But if you are in a script, outside or any other place, you can just get it much better. Let's say if I go for a interactive mode, like this, and number is equal to 123. It's a, if I ask type of number, you can say it's a integer. Now if I ask help of number, you can notice the entire help, right? So it is saying like, still a big thing is there. If you want detailedly, you can go to this text editor where I printed everything. That's what. See? Now, did you understand the difference between underscore doc and help? Help will give the just around it. That's it. So dir will give the list of attributes, whereas help will give the documentation. Whereas help will give this, what are you get in underscore documentation and the attributes and full detailed explanation about the attributes, how they were defined, how we need to pass the values, all these things. In fact, at one stage, I will make you to create your own module and give this kind of documentation also. So that is what our ultimate goal. So, okay, I did these things for one data type. Similarly, let's take the another thing. Same, I just, for making the things best, I will take like, so in chip, assume that 12.3. Instead of integer, I will make it as a float. Now, if I ask for float, the attributes are different, right? Similarly, if I ask the same dozen, now as it is a float, underscore doc, if I use a print, did you notice? For it didn't give that much big document, right? Okay. So for the same thing, if I ask a help, so as now it became, as Python is a dynamic type language, based upon the value give, the variable data type changes. So that's why you are seeing now float. For float, whatever is the documentation, you will see the same. See for float, what all things we can do, you can see. If you want detailed document, you can click on it, you can see. So this is all about float. In the same fashion, if I go for one more data type, say like, say this time I write like, say Boolean, true. So this is a bull. This is another data type, right? If I execute, it is saying it's of type Boolean, some address location, some list of attributes. So if I ask like, hey, print off, so dozen dot underscore doc underscore. If I execute, did you notice? And similarly, if I ask for help, and one more thing about help is that help is the only statement which don't need a print also. Even when you are in a script mode, if you run help, it will print outside. So generally in script mode, when you're writing any variables, if there is no print, it will not print anything, right? But it will do here. So now based upon the data type, you are getting all the things. Now the assignment is you do for other data types, everything. I will stop with one last document, data type. So which is like, say, the same thing, true, within quotes. Within quotes means what? It is of string data type, right? Now, if I say string also, fine. So true or got string is some location, some attributes it has, fine. Now for string, this is a very, very important point. Help will work for everything perfectly. So only problem with help is when you work with a strings. If I go for underscore doc, did you see? So clearly it is giving, right? Whereas if I go for help of dozen, which is a string right now, did you see what happened? Did I say wrong? Okay, string, it is single. It didn't process yet. Yeah, it is still thinking it's a string, right? That's a problem. Actually, string means it should think like a string. I say like, instead of dozen, a better name I can give. say name is equal to say uh, say Python programming. If I give say name, so whatever I want, name, if I ask, did you see you got all the values? Again the same. So to make the things more sense, I wrote like this. You see, and if I ask the same thing for a name, you'll notice, yeah, this is what I want to prove. Name is an attribute. Name is a variable which has a string. It's of string type. So if I say underscore doc, it is showing like this. But if I say name, it is showing like this. Even previously also same thing you saw. When you gave true as a string, it understood that it's a boolean inside and it gave the help of a boolean. That's so beauty, right? So but if you ask for anything, any object, help, which is a string, it won't give. So that's the reason if you want help from a string, you should go to the specific attributes and ask. So if I say like same dir of name, if I ask, I'll get some attributes, right? So I can say like, name dot, I can take like, so name dot starts with is an attribute. I can go for help like this individually and ask, or else say like help of str I can give. That way also I can ask. So that's the only problem with the help, but others are good. Just because you should be aware, I'm telling this. Next, going further, the last point I want to touch is how do you create your own pydoc? So pydoc means what? Python documentation. Pydoc means, like if you are aware of in Java, there is something called Java doc, like Python documentation. If you want to create, it's fine. So same like this. Now we have learned something about help, right? Now I will go to a terminal and I will go to, so Python. Within that, I will ask, hey, so import pydoc. And if I say help of pydoc, did you see you get like the complete good documentation about what it does and everything. Now you see here, it is telling that to run Python hyphen keyword, so hyphen B, like that pydoc has different options. Now I will show you what all these options, how to work with that shortly. So to say that in pydoc, so what are those commands are there? Just I typed here. First thing first, we have like for any module, we can get the Py documentation. So it's like a help, but in the terminal, first of all. So till now we used help, but help we can use within the Python script .py file or .ipnb, means Jupyter Notebook. But in command line, in the terminal, you cannot ask help. If I say help of say str itself, it will throw an error because you don't know what is help. So you are asking Windows, not the Python, right? But if you want to ask Python, there is a command called as Python space. Python hyphen h if you do, the moment you did a Python hyphen h, you will get a list of all the attributes that you can pass. So maybe all attributes are a bit difficult to remember at this moment. But you remember earlier I showed something called hyphen c, command line execution, right? One line command. In the same fashion, there is one more thing called as, so let me remove this path. No, it will be clear now. Python hyphen m means, hey, using Python, there is a module within Python, use that module. So now pydoc is one such module if you want to use it. Just I wrote pydoc and it said that, with pydoc, you can give anything like this. So, okay. If I say pydoc space str, means what are the help you say in terminal, in command line, if you want to execute, pydoc is a good way. So now you understood. So similarly, say you want to get the Py document of a say, math module, you can ask it. Okay, so it will continuously give. If you want to stop at some point, you can say Q, it will stop it. And if I say clear screen, and if I ask again, so it will ask Python math module means in math, what all things we can do. So cosine, cosine, so C, so absolute, cube root, so square root, cube root, all those things are there. So you do not say Control C. If any program is running, if you want to stop, Control C. But for help, if you want to stop in middle, you say Q. That's it. Now, okay, if you are giving any module, means it will tell. So if you install any Python module also, you can do the same thing. Say like, how do you install a Python module? Pip install means for that also same thing. Python -m means pip is another module which will come along with that. So you do like pip install. So if you want to install, say, there will be something called as the IPython. That's what we install, right? So if I do Python -m pip install IPython, as I installed in the first class, it changed, right? It is already satisfied. Same like IPython means same like this only. So, but in a command line, which I showed you earlier. The same things you can do here. You can see help of str. Help of str if I do. The same things, what are you do? Q. So like that. So if I want to execute, exit, I exited. Now, okay. So now you install this module called as IPython, right? So now Python -m pydoc. So you want to check about this IPython. You want to check about the documentation. As IPython is an utility, it is not showing. But if it is an ordinary module like a math or tuple or request down the line you learn, it will give that helps. Say there will be module called as like URL. Say with URL, what all things we can do means you can get the request, response, and all these things. It is showing. Okay, for a particular task, you don't know what command to use. Let's say you want to get the time-related modules, but you don't know what modules are there. It's like a Google search, like a hyphen means keyword search. With time, what all things are there for time, all modules it will go and check and give the list. So datetime is a module, time is a module, async IO dot staggered. So like this, there are many modules. It is giving a list of all of them. That is also fine. And if you want to create your own documentation, so you can do like hyphen, if you do, so it will give a list of all the modules because it is a bit slow in terms of searching. It will give all. So once done, we can do one more thing. Python -m pydoc -b means what? It will create a local server. So instead of you checking like this, it will create a browser page and you can search there. So that is also possible in here. So it's shortly it is giving all of them. Maybe I'll stop here. And if I say like -b, or like you can give a particular port also. If I just give -b, it will create a local server and it will open for me. And you can notice that it is giving a local web page. It was already opened. And now you can freely search all the modules which are there in Python. Say if you want to work on logging, so you can click on logging and you check like, what all things we can do with logging. Or you go back and check for like, math. You're working heavily on math module. You just go, there's a math module. With math, what all things we can do. Like instead of a, command line, you can see in this here. So for every module, there will be constants, there will be functions. You saw the constants and functions. So like that. So what else? Functools and every module you can check like that. Okay, this is fine. What next? Again, coming back, you should not be satisfied with whatever is there. You want to create your own, right? So for that itself, we have the last part. Python -m pydoc -w, the Python script. Now choose any Python script and you want to do. We cannot create for a Jupyter notebook. That is a different way called as pandoc. But like, so that I will tell when you're going for, so pandas and others, that time data science. But like if you take any example, say one good Python script, let's say hello world is there. It's a good Python script. I want to create a documentation for it. Hope you remember I told this is called as documentation, right? Doc strings, if you want to create a documentation. So here, you see here, you need to go to this directory where this particular file is there, first of all. So you are somewhere, present working directory somewhere. You see the list of files. Okay, you need to navigate to that file. So you need to go there. So first execute that file. So whichever you want to execute, say hello world, right? C hello world, Python C hello world. It's a typical program, it is executing. So you got some result. Fine. Now, if you want to create this, so again, Python -m pydoc. So you see how I wrote here clearly, pydoc -w means create, right? What are this Python script name is C:/. So you have .py, right? This is what you need to remember. You need to remove the .py extension. That's it. What are the file name is there? You execute, go to the directory, and just write with the file name without extension. Now, if I execute, did you see that there is one more file created just now called as hello world? Of course, you see like this, you will not understand. You need to open this file. So by copying the path, and you need to open in the browser. If I go back to the browser and check here, if I go to the browser where I am earlier, and if I give the entire path of the file, you can see that it is coming, right? So did you see that, it is coming like this? If I say, okay, sorry, it is doing like this. It is showing what are the documentation you have and what are the functions it has. So some functions are in Telugu, some are in English, so whatever maybe. So everything you got in a single place. See, whatever I wrote in doc strings, exactly the same thing came, right? So in doc strings, whatever I wrote, I got it. Did you see the comments are not coming? Nothing. Only functions are coming. Again, ordinary print statements are not coming. So that's how you create your own documentation. Hope it's clear till now. How do you create your own documentation and others? Now, okay, same like this. If you want to create, say your own things, next chapter if you want to create. So there is something called as language components. So within the language components means you understood the basic things. Now we need to go to the language components. Every language, if you want to work, now till now you have seen arithmetic variables, string variables, like that variables. Within the operations you can do. But if you want to compare, relate, so make some conditions, that's where you need to come here. When you're doing all those things, the first thing that comes to picture is relational operations. Relational operations means how do you relate two things? And next thing I want to say is like, I will say further. Okay, first relational operations, if I see, what all things we can check is that, say, let me take a small Jupyter notebook. So relational operations dot ipynb. Okay, I can close it. Fine. So using relational operations, what we can do? What are the different relational operations we have? So what we can do with that? First, you need to understand is that relational operations will give us either something is related. How do you relate two things? By saying like, something is greater than or something is less than, like that. So less than, greater than, equal to, less than, or equal to, greater than or equal to, like that. Earlier in Python 2, there used to be one more symbol like this for not equal to. Now it is no more there. So almost all languages removed that. So instead of actually, so we can simply tell. So 56 is less than 34 means, is it correct or right? 33. Oh, I am doing in a markdown, right? I need to just remove those markdowns. So down I remove, and I need to create a code object. You see, so 56 is less than 34. True. If the condition is correct, it will say yes. So same 56 less than or equal to 34. It says false. Same 56, if I say greater than or equal to 34, it is saying true. Means it is not equal, but it is greater. So at least one of them is correct. So greater than 34, if I say, it says true. No, you understood with the pure numbers, right? Let me do with this things like, variables. You know what is the value of US dollar now? I think with respect to Indian rupees, if I say it is 85 something, and Canadian dollar some 52 or 53 something. If I take two variables now, the same operations can't I implement here? So and so what is the beauty of F strings? I told you yesterday itself. If you want to print anything, generally you print the same variable twice, right? So instead of that, you can do with a new string, string formatting like this. So it means F strings. So there is one more thing called as F string assignment. That also you saw. If I do with these things, the same is coming like multiple ways, right? So in this kind of scenarios, these F string assignments are very much helpful, but they are coming only from their place. Now, why I'm telling that? If I want to show that both are equal or not, so how do I show? I placed two variables. The same thing I need to place again here. So instead of that, F string assignments will better help us. So in an ordinary print, if you do, it is up to us whether to place a colon or anything. But in F string assignments, every time you'll get equal in the output. That's the only difference. Now, in this case, see here, is US dollar and Canadian dollar both are equal in terms of value? No. So what you did with the actual values, I'm showing with the variables. Now, the same thing, this is Python or any programming for that matter, is just representation of the logic that we have. You see here, now the same numbers in terms of variables we are taking, and I'm relating them. Hope you know these F string assignments, right? So that's the beauty of F string assignments. It will help us instead of writing the same thing twice. So I can do it smartly. So is US dollar greater than Canadian dollar? Yes. Is US dollar greater than or equal to Canadian dollar? Yes. Is US dollar less than Canadian dollar? No. So less than or equal to? No. It is not equal to. That is of course true. But for not equal, there used to be one more symbol in Python 2, which was no more there. So why I'm telling some symbols which are there in Python 2, which are absolute means, whenever you are searching for any code in Stack Overflow or somewhere else, you will encounter these symbols. You will think how the hell that these symbols are there still, but you don't know how to use it. So that's why to help you understand, I'm telling them. So the same thing again with the numbers I do. You see, I gave some numbers. Hope you understood. Now, the most common thing, so a beginner will get confused, is about these two symbols. One is two equals, one is a one equal. One equal means assignment operator, two equals means so value level check. If I take like two equals, means I am checking that both values are equal or not. Yes, it is equal. But in the same case, if I take like one value, it will throw an error. Because assignment operator expects the left side value to be to a variable. Right side can be either a variable or a value. If it is a variable, it should be defined out and we can use. Hope now you understood the difference between these two kinds of operators, or overallly about these logical operations, sorry, relational operations.
Yes.
Okay. So now we did whatever we have done. We can try committing that. So how do you commit it? So again, come here. You check. I did a lot of changes. If I do a git status, I will not come because I need to go to the directory where the content is there. Git status, if I do, I get all the things. Now, if I say git add, if I say in 00 introduction directory, means 00 I give and a tab. It will give entirely. So what are is there in it? I want to add everything. See, slash star if I give, it will add everything in that. You see, only in one directory. And similarly, if I say git add 02 slash like that, if it will add everything. If I say git status, you can notice everything is coming. In Python third, if I can say git commit -m, I can say like, so class 5. So, help and pydoc. That's what we did. So I can commit it like a commit message and push it. So it will be pushed. So this code now will go into my repository called as Uday Prakash. Again, I need to give a pull request, merge request or pull request, same names, and give merge to the develop branch. From there, you can pull it. So that's how it works. Now, after this, we will go for the next one is into the logical operations. So